Yo, what's up? It's your KingLee, Bruce, back at it with another reaction video. In this video, we're gonna be taking out ViniTube's top 10 most impactful anime of the decade, 2000s. I'm expecting some bangers. I know Samurai Champloo is on the list because I saw it skipping this last 30 seconds. So I'm not gonna pretend like I don't know. But if you haven't watched Samurai Champloo, you definitely need to go watch Samurai Champloo. I don't know why you haven't watched. What are you doing? Go watch it. Anyway, let's get right into this. I'm eager to see what ViniTube has, because you know ViniTube, they have better lists than WatchMojo. Every now and again, WatchMojo have an okay list, and then sometimes they have this outrageous list and they have a borderline okay, you know. And then ViniTube has like a okay, and then just good. It's just okay and good. There's no trash list in ViniTube, you know. But let's get right into this.
You overlooked by accident. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get the ball rolling and start taking our furthest.
Samurai Champloo, yes sir, yes sir. I already know it. The hand of God, right there. That's the hand.
True to its artsy and unique form, Samurai Champloo brings us the first among the top fights of the 2000s. Here, Mugen and Jin battle Gaara, the so-called Hand of God. This fight shows much of Samurai Champloo's appeal.
Yes,
the artistic shots are there, and the simple fluid sequencing of attacks
it's crazy,
is there
right?
too.
Watch,
I really
watch
like
this.
how non-Mugen sword fights in Samurai Champloo pretty
Catch
much
later,
go against
dog.
the typical shonen style of deadlocks and clashes of power. Instead, the fights are fast, fluid, and place emphasis on dodging and moving according to pre-planned moves. Gaara is just the perfect type of opponent to set the two main characters on and to establish the overall power level in the series. The two of them got their asses handed to them by the sheer genius and style of their opponent.
Bleach, Ichigo versus Grimmjow.
The 2000s is the era of the Shonen Jump Big Three, and the first one to enter the list is Bleach with its Ichigo versus Grimmjow fight. Grimmjow's one of Ichigo's most memorable rivals, and it's not a surprise that their final fight delivered in all regards. Personally, I don't consider this the best fight in terms of character building or clash of ideals. This fight, however, is king when it comes to good old slugfests, as Ichigo and Grimmjow went at it raw with unrestrained power, just as the 6th Espada wanted. Grimmjow may not be Ichigo's perfect foil, but he sure knows how to make an impact, and despite not having as much internal stakes as some of the previous Ichigo fights, Grimmjow versus Ichigo's final fight remains one of the most memorable and visually imprinting clashes in Bleach. Feeling massively overwhelmed, Ichigo bet on all he had up to this point, his raw will and resolve. With Orihime's fate at stake, Ichigo got that last push he needed and ended up finishing Grimmjow with a slash that also doubled as one of the best fight screenshots in the arc.
I've never seen this. What is this?
Now here's a show that's rather niche compared to what we've taken a look at so far. 2007's Morabito does start off with a bang, with a great fight coming in as early as the 3rd episode. Balsa shows off how much of a badass female lead she is by taking on several hunters at once. The numbers disadvantage doesn't seem to phase the seasoned warrior one bit, as she comes out right on top. Although, I've got to say, is that even really that surprising? Looking at the clip, you wouldn't expect Morabito to be a 2007 show, given how great the fighting looked. Fight choreography and the animation are all ahead of their time in this series. If you think that the fight looks great, then you might want to watch the rest of the series. With its themes and intriguing story, Morabito is a gem that deserves more appreciation.
She look good. Ooh, yes sir.
Team Daiguren and their battle against the anti-spirals is by far the show's pinnacle as far as big fights go. It has all the trigger signatures, over-the-top action, crazy twists and sacrifices, and the spine-tingling finish sequence fueled by fiery voice acting and Sarairo blasting in the background. Thinking about it now just gives me goosebumps, and I'm sure the same goes for some of you as well. It's hard not to like this fight because it's probably peak TTGL, and everything you'd love about the show is condensed in this one decisive fight.
Oh, that looks pretty cool.
With Team Daiguren carrying the hope of humanity on their back. The final battle of TTGL truly is a landmark moment in the late 2000s. It capped off the show that put Trigger on the map, and the studio hasn't looked back ever since.
Trying to see what's going on, man. What's going on here?
There's a lot of flexibility here. We can work something out.
Kurapika versus Ubujin. Let's go.
For the very few of you who didn't know, Hunter x Hunter had an anime way back, and it's from there where we'll be taking a look at the next fight on the list, Kurapika versus Uvogin. The brute of the Phantom Troop, the unstoppable Uvogin, takes on Kurapika in this fight that showcases why fights in Hunter x Hunter are so fun and unpredictable. I don't blame fans for taking it for granted because he was defeated so early, but when you look at the guy in a vacuum, he's just overwhelming. That in turn makes him the perfect opponent to put over and build hype for Kurapika's abilities, as the giant brute of a man gets absolutely destroyed by Kurapika. Through clever manipulations and unpredictability, Kurapika was able to snowball his advantage in the fight and easily win, even healing through Uvogin's attack. To his credit, Uvogin was never the dumb muscle that his boisterous behavior and loud mouth make him seem to be, but he does find himself outmatched here. The icing on the cake is the reveal of how Kurapika's abilities counter his enhancer ability. The battle's been decided, and even Uvogin himself knows it.
Hajime no Ippo, yes sir. Men's versus Hawk, bro.
Our fifth place fight is a real slobber knocker featuring Nakamura taking on Hawk. Brian Hawk and Nakamura are basically foils for each other. Loud, boisterous, and perverted, the two are cut from the same cloth. Riding on a winning streak and being carried by an all-time high, Hawk confidently begins combat against the Japanese opponent, trading impactful punches and swinging the momentum back and forth. It was really a war inside the squared circle. At the fight's darkest moment, it's Nakamura's unstoppable rage that allows him to finally turn the tides. The intensity has been turned up to such an extent that it allows him to finally settle the score and put an end to the undefeated streak of Brian Hawk. The over-the-top fight is part of what makes Ippo such a classic. Where else do you see non-main characters being featured in such epic showdowns? The fight makes Nakamura look so badass, and needless to say, he beat Hawk into retirement. Literally. Nakamura won't be in another fight as awesome as this one.
Ooh, it's a retirement. Yes, sir. Retire, retire. You're done. Cowboy Bebop, bro.
I'd be hard-pressed to write something about the 2000s without at least mentioning Cowboy Bebop, one of the landmark shows of that decade. Now, for this entry, however, we go past beyond the much-loved series and take a look at a fight from the movie, the battle between Spike and Vincent. Really, who doesn't love a good old fist fight to end an amazing anime movie? The two fighters, after numerous confrontations, find themselves in for one decisive face-off, and they simply put out one of the best unarmed combat sequences in anime. The action's fast and furious, and their fight spills all over the place. After numerous setbacks, Spike finally gets the upper hand in what's been a touch-and-go battle. As an aside, I also like how the whole fight simply demonstrates Spike's endurance concurrently with his vulnerabilities. Despite being the ace bounty hunter, Spike seems to be fighting an uphill underdog battle here, but you just don't notice that at first because of the cool sequences. Hand-to-hand combat at its finest.
Lee versus Gaara. Oh, yes, sir. This what made me love Lee, bro.
In contrast to the
when I saw this,
we have an underdog fight for our
easily became one of my favorite characters.
Take a look at is the
that's why I hold Metal
two characters,
to such high regard.
To predict the winner of Gaara versus
He's one of my favorite characters from Boruto. I don't even watch
Boruto. The arc villain who's heavily featured everywhere. Facing him is the resident comedic side character who, despite kicking Sasuke's ass, certainly stands no chance. I mean, let's be realistic about it. However, if you look at the fight alone, you don't get that impression. From the beginning of the fight, Boruto is somewhere in the top 5. With all he had and was seemingly on the verge of victory in numerous instances. If he was facing a main character for the arc, that kind of effort from Rock Lee would have certainly knocked any opponent senseless. Seemingly having an answer for everything Gaara threw at him, Lee looked at the top of his game before finally taking the obligatory loss. There was no way that Rock Lee was going to win this, but boy did he go out like a true champion.
Yeah, Rock Lee, and then he came back even better. Luffy versus Lucci. Let's go.
Over the years, One Piece has given us a lot of cool and
Get
original fights. As one of the biggest shonen series out there, it's bound to have several fights that are contenders to make it on this list. Now, why did I choose Luffy's fight versus Lucci specifically? In addition to the emotional context and the weight of the fight, I'd say that the battle against Lucci is one of Luffy's fights that is all about his raw power. For a lot of fights, Luffy receives help in true shonen fashion, whether it be surviving Crocodile's initial assaults through luck or Law helping out against Doflamingo and others. However, this battle against Lucci's a good old physical brawl that, barring some motivations from Usopp, basically is a battle that Luffy won through effort. Not a lot of plot.
Just imagine Luffy knowing the CP9 techniques. I can't remember what the techniques were called. I can't remember what the actual techniques were called. But I know like Skywalk and all this. If he knew those, that should be crazy. And Sanji already knows one, so I'm expecting him to learn more as we go. Lil Lang and where's my
I've talked about this fight from Sword of the Stranger before. In fact, it topped another list that you might want to check out too. But I guess that's just a testament as to how awesome this climactic battle is. Throughout the movie, we've been treated to scenes of Luo Lang's feats, and the hype for the climactic battles over the roof. All this time,
I remember this. I've seen this before.
Could possibly do to defeat his opponent, who's been shown to have the strength of an entire army, and trust me, that's no exaggeration. The fight at the altar is probably one of the best pieces of anime cinematography, not just in the decade, but in anime history as a whole. Think about that. The intensity of the fight's been amped up, and that's all thanks to the animation, the acting, and the soundtrack backing up the classic bout. If you have to pick an anime fight to represent peak anime battles in the 2000s, this one has got to be one of the strongest candidates.
I still think Fullmetal Alchemist should have been on this list. Maybe this was like a top 20 or something, top 15. That was a real good fight for Fullmetal.
As we conclude the list, I got sucked into a wave of...
I would have put like Fullmetal in this. Still a good list. Still a pretty good list. I've never heard of this though. And I wouldn't have put that number one. And then Luffy versus Katakuri. I don't think we should put that on the list. What was the Luffy one? Luffy versus Lucci. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't put that first though. If anything, I would have put Spike, Cowboy Bebop at number one. Let's be honest. I would have put that like at number one, then put that other shit like a number 5 or 3, whatever. 10. Still would have been on top 10. Just, I don't see this number one. But anyway, everyone has their own opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What would you put at number one between all of these picks right here? Of course, let me know what you would have wanted to be in the list. And let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to get the heck out of here. Thank you guys for watching the video. Thank you guys for showing some support. And I'm out.